Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the main event of tonight's show here in St. Louis. Your host, Taju, here with you, and this program is brought to you by THQ. Now, the main event is simply the World Wrestling Federation champion, Kane, taking on the great Mr. Rogers. And I'll tell you one thing. Mr. Rogers has taken on some of the biggest, some of the baddest, and some of the best throughout his long storied career, but I don't think he's ever fought in a monster quite like Kane. And Kane, if anything, he's more of a machine, if anything, but still, as far as Mr. Rogers is concerned, he's been through this before, and Mr. Rogers has an opportunity to knock off the champion. If he can do that, he might be in consideration for the board of directors to be selected to be in the match. Whether that will happen remains to be seen. So without further ado, let's begin the matchup. And we're off. And already with a crossbody onto Kane. Whipped over the top rope is Kane. And down goes Kane. And Mr. Rogers, I'm not sure what he was doing, but... Oh, now not Mr. Rogers. Kane attacks Mr. Rogers and rams him into the barricade. And I really think this is the most dangerous part of the ring, is the outside. I think... Oh, whoa! He ran into the steps, then he hit his head onto the apron, did Mr. Rogers, and now Mr. Rogers gets back in. But was the damage done? I'm not sure. Oh, and an arm breaker right to Kane. I mean, that's a good start. But that's easier said than done when you go up against Kane. Kane with a reversal. And a nice reversal by Mr. Rogers. A neck breaker onto Kane. And Mr. Rogers takes down Kane and gives him a leg drop right to the arm. I mean, he's working on the arm, so that's gotta hurt Kane. That's gotta hurt Kane. And a side Russian leg sweep on Kane to Mr. Rogers. So now Mr. Rogers now gonna work on the arm, and that's a good strategy. If you can work on the arm of Kane, you can take away his choke slam, and he won't be nearly as effective as it would be if he was 100%. And now he's going for another armbar right to the same arm, the left arm of Kane. Oh, but Kane catches him. And already is in deep trouble is Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers gonna have to find a way to get out of this if he doesn't. But he does. A back suplex onto Mr. Rogers. But a knee lift right to Mr. Rogers. Ooh, and an arm breaker right to Mr. Rogers. Another back suplex onto Mr. Rogers. A whip into the ropes. Nope. A crossbody onto Kane by Mr. Rogers. But, of course, Kane gets up rather quickly. And he works on the arm again. Does Mr. Rogers. Whipped over the top rope. Oh, and he just got chopped down. by Kane. And now Kane follows him on the outside. And now both men are on the outside. Now what's he doing? Wait a minute. That's a surfboard stretch, but he cannot win on the outside. He's going to have to let that thing go if Kane wants to win the match. He can't win the match outside. But Mr. Rogers is in deep trouble now. But Kane, realizing it, finally lets go. Both men are in the ring again. So the only thing that saved Mr. Rogers was the fact that he was on the outside. And now, Kane just pounds away on him. Oh no, wait a minute. Oh, and an elbow right to the knee of Kane. A tilt-a-whirl back, or a tilt-a-whirl slam right to Mr. Rogers, then a leg drop to Mr. Rogers. Or is this it? One. No, kick out by Mr. Rogers. I mean, this is, for Mr. Rogers, this is a big, big match. I mean, if he can win, he'll definitely have the leverage to request a title shot. But that's if it happens. Mr. Rogers escaping the hold. A tilt-a-whirl slam once again to Mr. Rogers. And Mr. Rogers is pissed. A hip toss right to Kane. And Kane, well, he avoided that. And now Kane, what's he going to set him up for? A pump handle fall-away slam right to Mr. Rogers. Oh, now he's got him by the throat. Now what's he doing? Power bomb right to Mr. Rogers. Now he kicks him in the legs of Mr. Rogers, says Kane, and no, this is not good if you're Mr. Rogers. And oh no, this is not good. Tombstone pile driver right to Mr. Rogers. This is not good for Mr. Rogers, but it has to be it. 1, 2, no! I thought that was it! And I'm pretty sure Kane has to be thinking, what the hell do I have to do to put away Mr. Rogers? Mr. Rogers, I'm not sure how he survived that, but I mean, give him credit. I mean, he's surviving as long as he has against Kane. Then a kick right to the back of Kane. Now he picks up Kane. And a back suplex onto Mr. Rogers. Oh, but Mr. Rogers takes down Kane. And a massive body slam right to Mr. Rogers. Oh, now he's going right back to the arm where he left off. And Mr. Rogers, a leg drop. And a pinfall cover. 1. No, just a 1 count on Kane. Just an excellent match between these two. A kick and a punch right to the left arm of Kane. And Kane, I'm pretty sure somehow, I'm surprised Kane's not showing the ill effects of the arm, but a backbreaker onto Mr. Rogers. A neckbreaker to Kane. And a pinfall. 1. No. You're going to have to do more than that to Kane if you want to win. Oh, and a backbreaker. I don't know how much more Mr. Rogers can take. I don't even think he can take anymore. Oh, now going back to the arm again. Yep, he's still going after the arm. And a pinfall cover. No, not even a 1 count on Kane. Now Kane backing away. Mr. Rogers, and now Mr. Rogers exits the ring. I'm not sure what he's doing. Uh-oh. I think Mr. Rogers is desperate now. Now he's going to set up the table, but for what reason, I don't know. And oh no, wait a minute. A choke slam, and he barely missed the table, did Kane. Rammed into the barricade is Kane. And now Mr. Rogers is going to beat down Kane. But Mr. Rogers is going to go back into the ring. And so is Kane. And an arm wrench and then a leg drop right to the left arm of Mr. Rogers. And could this do it? 1, no. Just, I don't know where Mr. Rogers is doing this, but he's doing a great job. And you know what? He has nothing to be ashamed of to lose to Kane, whether it be in 2 minutes or 20 minutes. Another neck breaker right to Kane. And now, wait a minute. A kick to the back of Kane. Oh, and an elbow smash right to Kane. And a Samoan drop right to Kane. And yet, I'm surprised, oh, wait a minute. He's going to go for it again. Another power bomb. I mean, I'm not sure if that's going to be enough, but is it? I mean, it could be. And what's Kane, well, whatever Kane was doing. Took too long to pin Mr. Rogers. I mean, you can't do that against Mr. Rogers. I don't care who you are. Even Kane, you cannot hesitate to go for a pinfall cover on Mr. Rogers, because if you do, Mr. Rogers will make you pay for it. But right now, Kane is in control of this one. 1, 2, no. Mr. Rogers, I don't know where Mr. Rogers is doing this, but he's doing a hell of a job. No pun intended, but how do you survive? Oh, no. A two-handed chokeslam right to Mr. Rogers. Is that it? 1, 2, no. Just not enough to beat Mr. Rogers, but a clothesline that takes him down, though. And Mr. Rogers, I mean, he keeps getting up. And a backside slam right to Mr. Rogers again. Oh, now Kane is calling for it. Kane is going to go for it. He survived it for the first time, but I don't think he's going to survive this. And another choke slam right to Mr. Rogers, but Mr. Rogers actually rolls out of the ring. Gets back in the ring, does Mr. Rogers. Alright, now both men are on the outside now. Kane gets back in the ring. Okay, now both men are in the ring now. So now both men are in the ring. Oh, now going back to the arm of Kane. I mean, Mr. Rogers has a plan. I have a feeling. Uh-oh, wait a minute. Pile driver right to Kane. That's put away a couple of guys. Has Mr. Rogers. That move has put away a couple of guys, but is that enough to put away Kane? 1, 2, no, definitely not. But then again, Kane is a monster. You're going to have to do more than that to do away with Kane, and a backbreaker onto Mr. Rogers. I don't know how much more he can take. 1, 2, 3, but I mean, eventually Mr. Rogers couldn't take any more. And Kane wins, but he did not win decisively. He won, you know, that was just one hell of a match, and take nothing away from Mr. Rogers, but Kane was just too much for Mr. Rogers to overcome. as Kane summons the flames of hell. Kane is proving to be a tough World Wrestling Federation champion. And I'll tell you one thing. We may be looking at the face of the WWF champion for a long time.